Oh yes, it's time for another video on an Ohio River glory town. Nice change of pace from my video upload last week over Highland Park, Michigan. New Albany is a suburb that's located across the Ohio River in the Hoosier State, so it's safe from disappearing due to any further attempts by Louisville to annex more land. Why do you have to be so selfish, Louisville? New Albany is the third largest city in the Louisville Metro area. It also used to be the largest city in Indiana. So with that in mind, you already know that New Albany is going to be promoting its historic downtown. You can feel free to not buckle up for this driving tour as people go slow in this town. Seems like a town, honestly, where the cops will give you a ticket for going 2 miles per hour over. And that's no fun. First, I wanted to make sure that I made a complete stop, not only to satisfy all of you in the comments section, but also to not get a ticket from this cop right here. But yeah, we'll start things off by heading down towards the Ohio River, and we'll drive along the Riverfront Park. I can already start to feel the mosquitoes biting by just watching. Sometimes the Ohio River Valley can be so humid during the summer that it'll feel like you're down in the Louisiana swamps on certain days, and the brown color of the Ohio River might make you think that too. No reports of alligators coming out of the Ohio River though, so that's good at least. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as doing all of those things helps these videos destroy the evil monster that is the YouTube algorithm. Also make sure to hit that notification bell and select yes, so that you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. If you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy checking out some of the featured playlists on this channel. Videos with amazing insights on other places like what you'll see here can be found in my Indiana playlist, my Ohio River playlist, or in my Louisville playlist. Last but not least, if you can't get enough of me on here, you can always go follow me on my other social media accounts, and those links are below. Nothing quite displays the pride and joy of New Albany more than having the name of the town nicely landscaped into the slope. Behind a row of porta potties, that is. Well, maybe that's just a coincidence. Let's move on. Well, past that, you have the New Albany Riverfront Amphitheater, which is a gathering place for local events, mainly small summer concerts. But if you really love New Albany, I guess, you can rent the place out as a wedding venue. Anyway, just past the amphitheater, you have more porta potties. My goodness, how many toilets does New Albany need? Does this mean that homes don't sell here unless there's like 4 bathrooms inside? Something to think about. Well, if you are watching this video and you're planning on moving to New Albany, you can go ahead and ponder those thoughts while gazing over the Ohio River and soaking in all of its glory. Don't actually swim in the Ohio River though, it's really disgusting. As you can imagine, it's pretty common to see this park underwater when the water levels of the river reach flooding stages, and that happens about once a year, or once every other year. That's why this is a park, and just about every town that sits along a major river in the Midwest has converted their riverfront areas to parks that feature bike paths and open green spaces. If they haven't done that yet, then let's face it, they're dumb. Because what else are you going to do with the land along the riverfront? It really is a perfect opportunity for every river town to have an open green space. And in New Albany's case, I guess, an abundance of porta potties. Up here is the town's main street, but for now I'm going to skip the video towards an area that's just west of downtown, and we can see Main Street later on.
I see how you're intentionally skipping the part of town that has the nice historic homes. Your video doesn't even come close to showing how great of a town New Albany is.
Relax, homie. I know that you're all bent out of shape that IU lost in the March Madness tournament. And I know that IU hasn't had much success since the days of Bobby Knight, but there are healthier ways to let out your anger, and no, I'm not suggesting that you throw your chair. Yeah, you can see that I wasn't really popular when I lived in Indiana, but like I said, I'll be coming back to New Albany's Main Street later in the video, and we'll see all of what it has to offer. I only skipped it so that it wasn't repetitive as I drove along Main Street several times, and the YouTube algorithm works more so in my favor when a video isn't an hour long on a place like New Albany. On to the history. New Albany is one of the oldest cities in the good old boy state of Indiana. Culture in Indiana used to center around this area here, as the first state capital was in a town called Corydon that sits not too far west from New Albany. Settlement of New Albany dates all the way back to 1779 when George Rogers Clark captured the area during the Revolutionary War. Shortly afterwards, a group of 3 brothers arrived from Albany, New York with the last name of Scribner. The Scribner family is largely credited with finding this town, so with that said, you can probably guess where the name New Albany came from. Coincidentally, to the right is Scribner Middle School. In 1813, New Albany was officially incorporated as a town. Originally, it was a part of Clark County until Floyd County emerged in 1819, and New Albany has been the county seat throughout its entire existence. At first, it was the steamboat industry that helped New Albany become Indiana's largest city for about 50 years or so before Indianapolis took that title in 1860. There was also a large glass factory in town that provided hundreds of jobs. The economy in New Albany at the time was so strong that half of Indiana's wealthiest people lived in town. Later, you'll see a nice collection of historic mansions along Main Street that resemble those times. Other facts to know about New Albany is that the town is home to the first ever public high school in the state of Indiana, and back in 1862, Abraham Lincoln established a cemetery in town for those who lost their lives during the Civil War. Now, what I'm about to say requires a little bit of context, so here we go. New Albany is in southern Indiana along the opposite side of the river from Kentucky, which was a slave state back in the day. But with southern Indiana also having a strong southern culture at the time, social injustice was an issue here. Now keep in mind that we're talking about the 19th century, which was long before the woke media did their best to divide our country in recent years. Back in 1862, there were actual cases of terrible acts from white civilians that were deemed as acceptable by most other white civilians that made up this country. New Albany was an important stop along the Underground Railroad given its location, so there were a lot of black people that were heading north through New Albany that were trying to escape slavery. But that didn't sit well with some of the white residents of New Albany. Some of them joined to form a mob where they went door to door in black neighborhoods and destroyed their property. As a part of those riots, 3 black people ended up being killed. Now, that's what I call a violent act of racism.
Hey, that was a long time ago. Things can change over time. New Albany isn't racist, you're just another woke YouTuber.
Oh, hey, it's the ultra-sensitive small-town local again. Look, I clearly emphasized that this was back in 1862, like 150 years ago. So you can take what you want from that, but I didn't say that everybody was a racist in New Albany or that the town was racist, but you know what? Never mind. This is nonsense. Alright, so, we're soon going to be in New Albany's historic downtown, so let's see how historic this downtown really is. We've already seen this bridge a couple of times, but this is the Sherman-Minton Bridge over the Ohio River that carries 64. It is the last free bridge to drive across in the Louisville Metro area that's an interstate highway. The other 2 bridges that are interstate bridges in the Kentuckiana region carry 65 and 265, and both of those bridges have tolls now. Well, now we're in downtown New Albany, and as you'll see, it's been well kept up with. There's plenty of nice shops and restaurants to choose from, so it's a pretty decent downtown area. And to the right is the Scribner Mansion, which has been preserved as, if you remember, it was the Scribner brothers that first settled in New Albany as they came over from Albany, New York. This building with columns to the left used to be the historic Indiana State Bank building, but now it's owned and operated by Theater Works of New Albany. And a nice looking church up here to the right, it's the Second Baptist Church of New Albany. Here, we're about to go through what's known as Mansion Row. The Mansion Row Historic District is a reflection of New Albany's glory days, when it was the richest and largest city in all of Indiana. Mansion Row was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1983, and the district features a mixture of Greek Revival, Federal, and Italianate style homes, among other styles. The last yellow house you just saw there is deemed as a state historic site. It's called the Culbertson Mansion, and today you can head inside and see what life was like for these rich snobs from the 1800s. Well, now I'm going to talk about the city stats and what the economics are like today. New Albany was the largest city in Indiana from the time that the state was founded in 1816 all the way until 1860, when Indianapolis started to boom. You can see here that the city hasn't really grown much in population since 1960. That's not too much of concern though, as New Albany is the county seat of Floyd County, which has never seen population loss between census counts throughout its lifetime. Floyd County isn't necessarily booming, but it's growing nonetheless consistently over time. New Albany doesn't have the most impressive economic stats, but it's not terrible. If anything, it just looks like it's a cheaper place to live. The median household income is $49,000 per year, and 22% of adults 25 and older hold a bachelor's degree or higher, a little bit on the low side. The median value of owner-occupied housing units is $128,000, and the poverty rate is 17.5%. When you look at the numbers for all of Floyd County, you can see that this area is a fairly cheap place to live, and it's possible to make a good living here, given its location within the Louisville Metro area. Niche.com ranks the public schools in New Albany as an A-, which is really good. And to me, that was a little surprising because usually you don't see schools ranked that high unless there's a higher concentration of wealthy families, so good job, New Albany. On the flip side, the property crime rate in New Albany is well above the national and state averages, so maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to set up one of those prank boxes for package thieves if you move here. Make sure to set up a camera too so that we can watch all of the hijinks and hilarity that come with that. Earlier, we went through downtown along Main Street, and now we're going through downtown along Market Street. This street seems to be a little bit more lively than Main Street was. One of New Albany's biggest events is the Harvest Homecoming, which takes place during the fall every year. The event has its own website and claims that hundreds of thousands of visitors come every year. That's a lot of people. Not sure if it's hundreds of thousands that come every year, as there's only around 200,000 people that live on the Indiana side of the Louisville Metro area, or Kentuckiana, but maybe I'm wrong. The website also says that the event has been growing and thriving for 52 years. The festival begins with a 3-day pumpkin festival apparently, and the event is ran by the Harvest Homecoming Festival Associates Incorporated. That's a long name. If you're watching this video as a part of my Ohio River playlist, this shouldn't be a shock to you, as the Ohio River flood of 1937 devastated this town, just like it did to every other town along its banks. This was before any levees or flood walls were built, and the river rose to 60.8 feet, and that left most of downtown New Albany under 10 feet of water. Back then, the downtown area was the only part of town, as development didn't yet reach the surrounding higher ground. In response to that flood, New Albany became the first town in the region to construct a levee and flood wall system. Back in the town's heyday, the town was also home to the New Albany Glass Works Company, and it was in this town where the first plate glass window was installed in the United States. New Albany is also home to the first high school-owned radio station in the country. The top employers in Floyd County are all centered in New Albany, as it's really the only city in the county. The rest of the county is made up of unincorporated communities that are growing quickly due to suburbanization. Anyway, the top employers in Floyd County include Floyd Memorial Hospital and Health Services, which employs nearly 1,800 workers. Then it's the New Albany and Floyd County Consolidated School Corporation, employing nearly 1,700. In third place, it's Samtech Incorporated, which is a company that supplies cables, optics, and other wiring connectors. That company employs 1,000. Then it's a company called Beach Mold and Tool, employing 600, and another company called Hitachi Cable America Incorporated, which also employs 600. A lot of cable wiring companies around here. And now we head away from the historic downtown and we head north on State Street towards a retail shopping area on the north side of town. And here we're passing by the Baptist Health Floyd Hospital. And here you have several big box retail stores. And since there's really not too much to see here, I'm just going to speed it up quite a bit till we get towards another main thoroughfare in town. And here's another heavily trafficked thoroughfare with several more big box stores. And now I'm going to head towards the high school, and I'll end the video shortly after that. If I were to have turned the opposite way on this road, we would have headed towards the campus of IU Southeast, which is a big public school for this area, even though New Albany only has a rate of 22% of adults 25 and older with a bachelor's degree or higher. That just shows you that people that go to IU Southeast don't typically stay around here. And to the left, you have your good old boy Walmart Supercenter, where you know you can always go when you run out of sweet tea. And this is New Albany High School. Earlier I mentioned how it was the first high school in the country to own and operate a radio station. There's another high school in the district further west called Floyd Central. New Albany High School is home to the Bulldogs. It's one of the more common high school mascots that we see across this country. Among the most notable alumni includes professional wrestler Rob Conway, actor Josh Dallas, NBA shooting guard currently with the San Antonio Spurs, Romeo Langford. I remember him making a lot of noise in the Indiana sports world while playing for New Albany. And you have Major League pitcher Josh Rogers, who's currently with the Washington Nationals. And a block over to the right, you have the New Albany National Cemetery, which was founded by Abraham Lincoln in 1862. The cemetery was established mostly for Union soldiers that fought in the Civil War. In this video, you saw the city of New Albany, Indiana, which sits right across the Ohio River from the larger Louisville, Kentucky, and I do end the video here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as doing all of those things helps these videos destroy the evil monster that is the YouTube algorithm. Also make sure to hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. If you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy checking out some of the featured playlists on this channel. Videos with amazing insights on other places like what you saw here can be found in my Louisville playlist, my Ohio River Cities and Towns playlist, or in my Indiana playlist. Last but not least, if you can't get enough of me on here, you can always go follow me on my other social media accounts, and those links are below. We'll see you next time. Peace.